Welcome to Inside Innovation, charting change in higher education IT, the podcast where we explore the transformative ideas, emerging technologies, and dynamic strategies shaping the future of higher education. In this episode, The Big Challenges, our group discusses the most pressing issues facing higher education IT today, explores how institutions are navigating them, and considers what solutions and strategies may define the future.
My name is Dilawar Grewal. I'm a CIO and AVP with Hostess Community College in the Bronx, which is part of the CUNY, the City University of New York system. So our governance structure is basically every college or university has a CIO, and we have a CIO council, and then a vice chancellor who heads that in terms of strategy for IT across 26 universities and colleges. So one of the biggest challenges I see in IT, not just in higher ed, but in IT in general, is the pace at which things are changing and disruptors. So everybody's talking about AI and what they can do with AI and what they shouldn't be doing with AI and all of that stuff. But one of the things that to me is very important related to all of this change is the pace at which it's changing. So with this rapidly changing pace, it is no longer sufficient that the leader be well versed with the changes and be able to provide leadership. It's just impossible for one person or two people to keep up with everything. So what becomes really, really important that institutions pay special attention to how you develop leadership at all levels within the institution. It is better for a CIO to have a competent set of people who are confident in changes they can propose, which can be aggregated and proposed by the CIO to the institution, rather than just the CIO's vision for the change. We just don't have enough time for a singular person, a CIO, to learn everything, the risks in networking, in data management, and governance, in systems, in new applications, in transitions, in change management, and then make that effective immediately. A very good example would be, fine, you have a CISO who is very well versed in security and stuff, sets up a vision, sets up a network, sets up a way of dealing with attacks, and then you have a ransomware attack. Now, it's not just the CISO who's going to be able to respond to that. It's not just the CISO who's going to be able to deal with different departments who may not have been following the data policies accurately. You're going to need a team, which basically means each one of them will have to act as a leader, both in knowledge and initiative, in not just controlling that situation, but also being able to prevent something from the future and create change that will help you not get into that predicament coming up next year, next month, next week. So I think institutions should pay a lot of attention how you develop that leadership, how you provide that knowledge and confidence across the spectrum of your personnel, and not just rely upon one person to lead everything.
So Eric Ellis, the Chief Technology and Innovation Strategist for Lenovo, past experience as a CTO for the UNC system and CTO for the state of North Carolina, and I bring those experiences into this role. This challenge that we have in front of us today is as large and fast-paced as ever. I talk about this problem less in technology, even though my bent is as a CTO. There are talks I give around it. The book Future Shock, if somebody's not read it, is one of my favorite books. Alvin Toffler wrote it in the 70s, and the wisdom, foresight there, that the ever-growing pace of change and what it does and will do creates things like decision paralysis. So in a similar vein than others that talk about this, I talk about a sea of AI, and it's kind of funny because at heart I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I spend a lot of my time there, so I have that brain and the other brain. And I decided to introduce the C of AI into the Rime of Ancient Mariner, right? And in doing that, it gave me a poem back, which I thought was very interesting. If you've never heard the poem, water, water everywhere, and all the borders did shrink, water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Day after day, we stuck nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. And what Coleridge was doing in that poem was talking about being in a situation where you had all of this water, but you couldn't use any of it. You couldn't drink it. They were stuck in the doldrums. They couldn't go anywhere. And I think that is the biggest problem we have right now. It's all of this AI, all around us, everywhere. And yet we have the same resources to implement that we've always had, if not fewer, definitely fewer relative to the demand. And so we're left, how do we address this? And so one of the ways to tackle this is to simply, little by little, find the one AI project that will make your mission in your university or your institution go well, because if not, we end up overwhelmed, back to future shock, or we end up with decision paralysis. I'm seeing that. I fly around the country and I see that. I see overwhelmed and I see decision paralysis a lot, not knowing where to begin. And then I see the multitude of individuals across the university or system or college trying to figure out. The ones that do it really well often are community colleges that say, I know I need to go do this one thing. I see larger universities sometimes struggle because there's so many of them. And so you end up having this pocket and this pocket and this pocket. And it's akin to like trying to get enterprise architecture. And so that age-old like silo meets this, it gets very complex when you have 1,000 AI solutions coming at you. So I decided to ask ChatGPT, this is way back, to give me its thoughts on the Rime of Ancient Mariner's poem. And output was this: AI everywhere, and all the minds did shrink. AI everywhere, yet not a thought to think. With options vast and paths untold, the sea of choice is wide. In realms of code and data bold, we drift without a guide.
Hi, I'm Richard Thomas, Senior Director of Infrastructure at Howard University. Our department is Enterprise Technology Services, and we report to the CIO. As it relates to our day-to-day operational concerns, one of the primary concerns that I have in my leadership capacity, as when we talk about what is impactful today from an IT perspective, it's the budget, operational budget, capital budget. There are consistent shortfalls. When I talk to my university colleagues and colleagues at other universities, the message tends to be the same. We don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources, but we have all of these projects that we need to get done in order to forward the various missions of the school. In my particular case, the way that I've approached that is prioritization. We systematically sit down and go through our IT strategic plan. Within that strategic plan, we literally rank most important to least important, and we push those initiatives that we think will have the biggest impact from a institutional perspective. So in other words, whatever we have in flight that is going to either increase faculty and staff's ability to provide education to the students, or whatever we see will build in, or whatever we think rather, will build in operational efficiencies, save some money, reduce cost, we tend to steer towards those projects first. So, yeah, budget is a big issue. I think it's a big issue for everyone. We're solving it really by prioritizing in a pick list. So that's how we've been dealing with it at Howard University.
My name is Dr. Pamela Luckett, and I serve as the Chief Digital Engagement Officer for Dallas College, located in Dallas, Texas. When thinking about what are some of, or what is one of the major challenges from my perspective in higher education, I think that one of the things that I think about is preparing for the future, the integration of digital solutions and digital technologies, and also integrating a collaborative mindset so that we're not working in silos. So how do we prepare for the future with a mindset of student first, but from a collaborative approach of how do we solve problems?
How are you thinking about this in your context?
And so how I'm thinking about this from my context is how are we, or how do we pull all of the relevant stakeholders together so that they are a part of the process, that it is not a me decision, but it is a we decision as we are thinking about how do we solve problems to get students to the institutions, to get them through the institution, and then also how do we get them beyond so that ultimately that they are joining the workforce or that they're continuing on to four-year institutions. So this has to be a collective, collaborative approach of a we and not a me. And so it is all about collaboration and how do we infuse that together and also infuse in that trust. And so I think that how do we do all of those things so that they are trusting what we're saying to one another and that there are collaboration across the board, because this is not a one person or one department show. It has to be a collective agency throughout the entire institution.
My name is Mark Knox. I work at Dallas College. My title is Associate Chief of Digital Engagement and Innovation. I would say one of the critical challenges that we have today in higher education is being able to get that merge between emerging technologies in today's world of face-to-face education and bringing those together in some type of fashion to where there's an equilibrium between the two. And by that, I mean we need to get the faculty to embrace AI and see it as a tool and as a helper more than a hindrance to them. It is not something that they should be scared of. It should be something that they are willing to accept and embrace and bring it along as something that can help them with the process. We want our students to also be accepting of AI and using it as a tool and not as something that our faculty, or I won't just say faculty, more than just faculty, believe that it's something that they're trying to use in an unethical way, such as cheating, or trying to use it in some other type of way of unethical advancement. But I think our students are actually using it to advance themselves more than on the other side of the coin of being unethical. So I think we need to be able to get back to that, because more of our stats are starting to show that students actually want to be back to face more than in that digital world of online. I think they want to have that face-to-face interaction. I think they want to be able to have that engagement. But at the same time, we can't just deny that AI does not exist and it's not around. So we're going to have to find a way to bridge that gap between both, bring that merger together, and get some type of kumbaya and acceptance between them all, and get this going to where our students will be able to flourish in this new world and new era, bring the old and the new together, and have it to where we'll all be able to take this tool, take this new dynamic evolution, we can call it for some, and bring it to where it will be our new guide to the future because it's going to happen whether we want it to or not. And I've had several discussions with different colleagues about it and how they look at it. I even take the example of I've seen it to where AI is now even has the capability of providing better medical diagnostics than the regular doctor. And the doctors are taking this as an insult, but I think the doctors should actually just take it as more of a second or a third opinion and maybe just reevaluate their first diagnosis instead of taking it as, well, you're listening to the machines or the machines are taking over. But why wouldn't you just take it as being another opinion that you should maybe take into consideration? So look at it as a tool. It's no different. Maybe you should have read the third book or the fourth book. Look at it that way. That's my opinion on it.
My name is Sejal Vaishnav. I'm from Illinois Institute of Technology. I'm the Chief Information Officer at my institution. So one of the challenges facing higher IT today that I can think about is the rate at which technology keeps changing at the pace and how we have to keep up with it with shrinking budgets. So one way that we're kind of addressing this problem, as well as our skill sets within the organization to keep up, is really shifting our resources, upskilling them, empowering them, but holding our budgets and looking within the budget as to what fluff is there and what can we remove to keep pace with the new technologies that are coming and, sort of moving our organizations forward. So that's one big one that we are currently looking at. But we're moving our traditional positions, in your infrastructure teams, your service teams, over to more thinking about the business and what does the business need and how do you really tackle those business needs versus being those traditional operators, which everyone wants to sit behind their desk and really not face the customer. And so you have these gaps. But also, when tech is coming down at a pace that you just can't keep up, you have to start refocusing in these baseline areas to sort of tackle those.
My name is Angela Kamile from Delgado Community College in New Orleans, Louisiana. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, in IT today is the expectations that students come into higher ed with. So as a community college, we have a lot of students who really aren't very tech savvy, and then we have others who are young and have iPads and don't look up from a screen. And so what is the expectation as an IT leader that we are supposed to give to the student? Is it something that is still a challenge for students, or should we be looking even further ahead than what an 18-year-old might be using now? So I think culturally it's a very interesting topic to look at, and because tech moves so fast, right? We can never keep up, and particularly the students that are far behind already are being left further behind. So how do we sort of mitigate that difference?
How are you thinking about this?
So we do a lot of connectivity things in our institution. So we widened out all of the Wi-Fi, which goes pretty much a whole city block at this point. So that's helpful. And we have made some strategic partnerships along the way to bring data to our students, particularly those who are in rural areas.
My name is Brian Ferris. I am the Director of Shared Services for the College of Western Idaho. And I think the biggest problem being faced by IT in higher education is the capacity of people in IT for distress. So traditionally, tech jobs have been very secure, but we're at this confluence of cultural factors and the explosion of AI where a lot of people who have spent their careers in IT are having to deal with feelings of, well, am I going to still have a job? What is going to happen for a variety of reasons? It's part of a larger cultural discourse where we do not talk about our capacity to manage distress as a team, as individuals. So one of the things that we're doing to sort of think about it and wade into these waters is rolling out different training availability. So we've been working with the IT team on a lot of the human skills. What does it mean to work human in these situations, and teaching them and through training how to deal with difficult conversations, and actually just how to sit with being discomforted for some time. Because sometimes right now, especially in our state, we don't know what the legislature is going to do. And so this feeling, getting used to sitting with uncertainty. And then we're working with managers to give them those leadership skills. And so this has been very new for our institution. And I do not actually think it's solely confined to IT. I think it is something that everyone in higher education needs to start thinking about, but that's mine.
My name is Tamara Edwards. I work at Howard University. I am the director of the project management organization as well as the director of business operations. So a very large and inflated title. The one thing that I think about that impacts, that it's impacting higher education, I'm going to take this from the perspective of a parent who has a child that's in college currently. So when my daughter actually started, we started talking about college, she said to me, I don't need to go to college. What do I need to go to college for? And I was like, to get an education so that you are hireable, so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can move out of the house. I want you to stand on your own 2 feet. All the things that my mother and father told me, coming up, because I came up in that generation. But then, started listening to her. I'm thinking, I don't want to push my ideals on her, allow her to make her own way. But you do need to do something. If it's a trade school, it's something. You need to do something that makes you a sustained member of society. But then she said, well, I can look at social media. I can be an influencer. I can create videos. They make, tons of videos, and they're posting and they're making millions and millions of dollars, these 18, 19-year-olds. And I was thinking, my goodness, these 2-minute videos have shaped the sense of thinking that this, is the end all and the kind of like that golden goose. And for some, it might be. But what I did want to explain to her is that you don't see all the work that kind of goes in to this concept of social media and what it took to make these videos and create these ideas and these platforms. It's not just 2 minutes. And if it's going to be a serious career, it's things that you have to really put yourself behind. And so I said, if it's something that you really truly want to be dedicated to, you want to find something that you really like to do, put your effort behind it, put a plan behind it, and move forward. But not just, I'm just not going to go to college and I'm just going to be an influencer on social media and I'm just going to take my camera and go out here and hopefully I make it big. And so I feel like what social media has done to our students or to our kids has given this unfair glimpse or this rose-colored glimpse of the world that's just not always real. And so therefore they're sitting back thinking that they don't always have to take the traditional way, which nowadays, no, maybe you don't have to always take the traditional way, but at least have all of the facts when making the decision, and social media does not always offer you all of the facts. So I feel like that is a big challenge, and I'm just speaking as a parent.
My name's Charlie Butcher. I'm the Chief Educational Technology Officer at the University of Lynchburg in Lynchburg, Virginia. We are a small private liberal arts school. And I think our biggest challenge right now is the whole AI versus liberal arts argument. Is AI going to kill liberal arts? Or is it going to drastically change the way we attack liberal arts? That's the conversation that we're having across campus every day, all day. Our core liberal art departments are in trouble in terms of enrollment. I think that's the case across the country. They're trying to figure out ways that we can increase those enrollments, and my job is to try to help them using AI. And we are actually going to take the approach where we're going to embrace AI as an entire university. We are going to say that, we're even dumping Turnitin. We are seeing that plagiarism is not really a thing much anymore. It's AI generation. And we're going to use GPT-0 for a 1-year stopgap. And then after that, we're going to go away from I gotcha tools. And we're going to concentrate on building a culture of the how, the when, and the why to ethically use AI, both in their educational life, but also then into their professional life. Because we're seeing that lots of our partners around us in the community are wanting kids that have AI skills. And it's almost like what we consider to be cheating in academia, the rest of the world is seeing as progress. And that's a fine line, especially to liberal arts school, to walk there. So we're going to try to build that into every single course that, yes, you can use AI, but now you have to cite it. You have to own everything that's in it. You have to double check. You have to critically think. We've already started for the last year and a half where they have to turn in prompts with their papers. They've got to show the entire journey of the paper, which actually is showing some better writing because they're starting with this prompt to help get an outline started or a rough draft. And then they have to show how they took that and edited it. So they're critically thinking and assessing. Yes, they're not writing it straight from scratch, but I think we all know that the hardest part of writing a paper is getting started. And it's really helping some of our students that really struggle. We're not a Harvard. We're not a Fordham. We're not even a Howard. We've got a lot of first-gen kids that really are struggling just to get through college because they were so disrupted in high school and that they're not the strongest of the students. But we're really trying to help them raise that bar by using AI and then push forward so they can have a decent career as we get out of education.
Thank you for joining us on Inside Innovation, Charting Change in Higher Education IT. If you enjoyed this episode, The Big Challenges, be sure to subscribe to catch future discussions on the ideas shaping the future of higher education. You can find us on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and thank you for listening.